Anyways, you are listening to In Conversation with. I'm your host, Colin, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Gavin Kelly.
How you doing?
And Mr. Greg Mulhall. Gavin, not so fresh off a train from Galway. He was up at Rag Week.
I'm not too bad,
For those of our many listeners that don't know what Rag Week is, Gavin, do elaborate first, please.
God, Greg, you know better than me, to be honest.
Yeah, in fairness, when it comes to Galway, anyways.
Yeah, well, Rag Week is Raise and Giving Week.
Yeah.
But it's actually unofficial in Galway. So Gavin just went on a piss up for
only 2 days.
2 days.
Which is pretty much what Rag Week is.
Yeah,
Anyway.
essentially.
It's just
And
an
how's
excuse
the
to
form today?
I'm not too bad. I thought it'd be a lot worse.
You're not looking too fresh.
says the one.
Okay, fair.
Where are you last night, Greg?
Me and Greg are not that fresh this morning either. We were in Coppers last night.
This is awfully unprofessional. I don't know if I agree with this.
Our guest doesn't mind. Speaking of,
I forgot about that,
we
yeah.
are joined by FM104 and secondary school teacher, Mr. Rob O'Hanrahan.
That's myself, yeah. Cheers, lads. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming out, Rob. We met a couple of times
Before we ever did radio, actually.
Yeah, you came and did a workshop in DCU there last year.
That's right, yeah. I did the December.
Yeah, and then you also judge one of the hybrid awards.
That's right, the video award last year. Yeah,
which is good crack, and that's where I think we initially approached you to be on.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd
I'd actually completely forgotten until I got your text, and I was like, geez, I actually totally forgot about that because that was back in April.
That was
last
April,
year.
yeah. Like obviously we kind of broke up for summer or whatever. We were all.
Oh,
working
you're all
at
back
home.
together though, lads. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we're
good.
glad-
I'm glad.
we're
So
back
glad to
together.
hear that. So glad.
I don't know, like Colin and I had a bit of a falling out last night now.
Yeah, Greg slapped me across the face last night.
Did you deserve it?
In
Like,
fairness,
we don't
I
need to
was
air
pissed
dirty
drunk.
laundry in front of
But we were we obviously all went home to work for the summer, and then it actually kind of slipped my mind as well. And I remember Rob said he'd come on the show, so I got back in touch, and obviously here we are now.
Lads, I'm not going to lie. I had to flick back through some of the episodes. I have a serious case of imposter. I was like Rachel English, Brian Dobson, Dave Fannin. I was like, lads, spot the odd one out.
we've been blessed with some good guests, yeah.
Well, if you look at our earlier interviews, most of them are just our mates from college, very uninteresting.
Our
people.
very first interviews are literally
Very
our mates.
Jack Matthews, for Christ's sake.
But yeah, no, don't feel out of place, Rob.
Oh, thanks, lads. I appreciate
We treat every guest equally.
We're an equal opportunity podcast.
Interviewer, but yeah, so I'll start like I traditionally do. So what was your initial thought when I approached you to be on the podcast?
Look, I was delighted. I was surprised, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I always kind of like you said, imposter syndrome. I think it's part of life though as well. I think like no matter what you do and where you go in life or what age you are, you always have that little biddy in the back of your head that's kind of saying,
what do you act like, you know? You suppose you like, if you look at some of our former guests, in fairness, like somebody like Brian Dobson, you'll probably be like, oh, it's Brian Dobson, but I'm like, you're in good company.
We found that interviewing people from radio, like younger people like yourself, they're the most crack.
Yeah. We had Graham.
What are you trying to say about our older guests?
Full of wisdom.
But we had Graham and Nathan on there last week, and we had Peter on the week before, and Fergal Larcy, and they're all like the.
I met Graham and Nathan years ago before any of us got involved in radio. I met them at we won something. We basically won tickets. Myself and the Shifts lads won tickets to these masterclasses, these Coca-Cola masterclasses, right? As part of something. I can't remember what it was, and I picked one with Dermot O'Leary, right? And I was like, it was out in Ballsbridge Hotel or whatever it was. I'd never been to Ballsbridge before. Great adventure for the Northsider. And so I was like, oh, this is this place. Ballsbridge Hotel arrived or whatever, and Graham and Nathan were sitting there, and we were all like, it was just funny, like, just like we were chatting away, like obviously same age or whatever, but I remember when they started then on TRL, was Total Request Live, they used to do on Spin on the Sunday evening. And I remember being like, jeez, I know those lads. And then it was like fully charged. And I was like, oh my God, no, I do know those lads.
They're really taking off at the moment. So let's get straight into it. So was broadcasting then kind of I suppose you actually do have two careers now, in fairness. Like you have the teaching as well as
mommy and daddy happy, you know.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
it. A good civil service job. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about the broadcasting first. So was broadcasting always a thing that you had in mind?
No? Never. I genuinely mean that, never. So I do you ever hear that thing like, oh geez, how did he get a job? Did he collect 5 packets of potato? And then that's pretty much how I got a job in 104. So I entered a competition to work with 104 back about 2 or 3 years ago. And it was to be the Dubs blogger.
Okay.
Right now, for me, there are two words that annoy me more than anything else in the world: the dubs and blogging, right? So for me, I was like, join them together and perfect, yeah, great. But it was just this idea that a fan would go along and give a different view of the game or whatever it was. And I entered in with that. I had to do like a match report or something like that from my most memorable moment as a Dubs fan. And I got called in for an interview and I got picked to do that. So that was my in or whatever it was. And then it was two things. I got given every opportunity I could, if that makes sense. Like, I worked hard, but I found myself interviewing Philly McMahon after a few weeks, and then I was in the press box for games. I was kind of going like, Jesus, what am I doing here? And it was an amazing experience. And then started doing the live shows on the Friday, the Dub Hub with Eamon Fennell and Ross McConnell. And I just got the bug, got totally bitten by it. And I was lucky in that I felt like my immediate boss was Hazel Nolan, the sports editor in there, and she was just incredible. Gave me, expected very high things, as you would expect anyone in radio to do, but just gave me every opportunity. Like, I kind of felt like it was chuck Rob in the deep end, and as long as he's still swimming, we'll keep making it deeper. And that's what it was, and that's where it came from winning the competition to working in Croke Park to doing the live show, and then that led on to I did a demo for 104 then, like a fake news kind of thing, or practice news kind of bulletin or whatever it was. And then I started working part-time on the sports desk at the weekends, and then started doing then shifts during the summer and stuff like that. And then the opportunity came up that there was a show on a Sunday evening, and all of a sudden I did a 3-hour show on a Sunday evening on FM104. And like, to be honest, it's still a little bit surreal to say it now. But no, broadcasting, radio. No, TV was always like, that was like, I don't know what it was, that was always the big one for me. But no, and I was only thinking today, like, it's happens to be World Radio Day, like, it's been probably in my life now for the past 2-3 years, but yeah, it's had a huge impact on me. And no, but it was never, look, like most things, to be perfectly honest, like, I never would have said I was going to be a teacher either, but you find yourself in these situations and you just run with it.
Speaking of, I was going to mention your tweet about World Radio Day today.
Oh yeah.
Basically, you were just saying all things radio has given you, and I just want you to elaborate a bit on what radio has given you over the past couple of years.
Huge. Yeah. Like, I said it in the tweet as well, and it's a big thing you come back to when it comes to a career. Like, one of the best things I ever heard about, like, your job or whatever it was two things. One is one my mum always says, and she said, I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. And she said that about 6 months ago. So it's nice to hear someone who's that little bit older than you say that. And the other thing is, like, love what you do and you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Now, I don't agree with that. Look, no matter what your job is, you're going to wake up some mornings you just not going to want to do it. And that's fine. But
today.
Yeah. But look, radio for me, like, I found myself in situations I never would have thought. Like, I got to cover Manchester United in the Aviva Stadium. Like, I got to ask Jose Mourinho a question at a press conference. I was just like,
you're a United fan.
Surreal, yeah. We'll leave that out for the moment. That's a whole other podcast. But there's that, like, I All Ireland finals, like, in the press box, like, I remember, like,
did you get accreditation on All Ireland
final
day?
All Ireland final day. No. But right up to the quarter final, like, and then
All Ireland final day is just.
Yeah, our own Greg made his debut in the Croke Park press box over the summer.
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, I was on duty for Laois and Carlow in Leinster semi-finals.
Just big games.
Big game, yeah. I was a good strong Laois man as well, so watch what you're saying, Rob. And then I got to go back for. I was like a puppy that day.
Free soup. They give you free soup.
I have a good one for you now, right?
Yeah.
So
speaking of soup,
you have just right. So I
nerve.
was actually on duty last weekend, or not last weekend, the weekend for Laois and Louth, where we lost home advantage. We had to play the game in Croke Park. It was the first of a triple header, essentially. So there was Laois and Louth, there was the Dublin ladies, and then there was Dublin men's senior team. So they actually wouldn't give the press that were there on duty for the Laois and Louth game sandwiches or soup, because they said they were saving them for the big games later. And then one of the journalists put it out on the radio on Midlands 103, and then another actually included it in, like, the live blog that he was doing. And
right, yeah.
They came up and apologised to us afterwards.
Did you kick off?
I Oh no,
You're probably too scared to kick off.
Yeah, like
it is hard. You kind of like, I find as well, like I'm always, the thing I'm most scared of in those situations is the unspoken stuff. Like I'm always worried about crossing a boundary where it's like, oh no, that's John's seat for 40 years, or like, you know, we leave that seat.
And they are very territorial like that up there.
Yeah, and look, fair enough. Like I think like it's kind of like, I remember when we did a yoke with RTE years ago, and I remember the sound engineer, and he was just so obnoxious. Like he was like constantly like moving mics and like interrupting scenes and all this kind of stuff. And I remember at the time being like, this guy or whatever. But then when you get into it yourself, I'm sure you guys would know as well, like whether you're a sports photographer, commentator, whatever it is, like what you get at the end is, you know, it's your name is attached to that. And you don't have to make friends, you know that kind of way. It's more about like what you're actually producing at the end of it. So you do kind of like, you have to appreciate that, like these are lads, it's their livelihood, you know.
Yeah, and like,
but it's hard.
Are you calling us obnoxious, Rob?
No, absolutely not.
No, but I do see what you mean. You know, like I know for a fact that certain broadcast journalists do have their own specific spots, their own televisions of, you know, like the little screens that are there. That's their seat. Like I know Croke Park do assigned seating for the bigger games.
For the bigger games, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think they're too strict on it.
For the bigger games, the ones around that evening, yeah.
Leeds and Carlow in a Leinster semi-final was a big game.
Yeah, I mean the winner gets to lose to Dublin.
Well, what an honour that is.
Yeah. So no, I have got up to the press box.
But it's the coldest place in the world.
He said this, yeah. He said it the minute
back, right? I have a MacBook. It's aluminium, you know.
It was actually just MacBook. Yeah, just drop it.
You're getting mugged off.
Like what is? Ferg Darcy mugged me off as well. Hey Ferg, if you're listening, I'm coming for you.
He's definitely not.
Nah, he's not. No. But yeah, I came back after Leeds United game and I was like minus 15 up there. My fingers, everything just got pipe.
I remember the first game I went, because I'd done the first year I just did the championship, like a good Dubs man. I just did the championship,
of course.
And then the second year I was there for the league games, just the home ones again.
Of course,
Dubs fans. Yeah. Heaven forbid I should have to leave the pale, but I remember going up, and it was a February, whatever it was, like February evening, and I was a double header. I was there for the women. The women were playing Mayo, and I actually can't remember who. I think the Dubs might have been playing Mayo as well. I can't remember anyway. But I'll never forget it. I got back to the car and I couldn't drive because it was so cold. I couldn't feel my feet. I was like, I can't trust myself.
I was shaking when I met my dad out in Jones Road, and I was actually like shivering.
So cold. Yeah. You live and you learn. You know, that kind of way.
Now, in fairness, I was warned. My editor had in his email, you know, for my markings for the week, had said, I can't advise you enough to layer up and all this, because I'd gone during the summer obviously for the Carlow game, and I wore a t-shirt. I met Colin afterwards. Went for a pint or two. I was wearing a t-shirt and I froze. Yeah. And I couldn't understand it.
Wasn't a particularly bad day that day, was it? Because I was in the hill and I'm fairly sure I remember it being quite lovely.
Yeah. Like everyone was going around in, you know, t-shirts and jerseys. Like there was no jackets or anything.
But it's weird as well because like I've sat in those nosebleed seats for matches and
it's not the same.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's
I think it's because I was saying to Colin there. I think it's because like the press seats are kind of perched up a little bit, and then you're kind of exposed. Maybe I don't know
what it is, but yeah,
it's not.
Maybe somebody does it on purpose, so you'll write more or type faster, just so you're actually doing your work instead of just watching the game.
You don't want to be too cozy in there. You have to do your job.
Go back to Galway. I wanted to hear.
But sorry. Anyway, coming back. Like that was it for me. Like it's those opportunities, and like. As well, I think it's like I know they were saying it was 3.1 million people in Ireland listen to the radio now every week or every day.
83% listenership nationwide.
It's huge, and like you're literally you're a voice in people's rooms. You know, like and not in a weird way, but you know, like it is like you literally. Like,
I mean, what do you do in your own time? Hey,
we don't judge. As we said, equal opportunity podcast.
But you know, you're dropping into people's cars, kitchens, whatever it is, and like it is, and I got to do like a. One of the I mentioned in that tweet was like I wrote a play and got to record it for Radio 1 last year, and I literally at one point I was sitting in the Project Arts Centre, and the people who were on stage with me, like two of my best mates and then professional actors. I was like a Radio 1 mic in front of me, like my family and friends there, and I was like, it doesn't actually get a hell of a lot better than this, you know, that kind of way. And it was a really cool moment, and yeah, like I said, for something that was never top of the list for me, whatever the list was, it's become a really, really integral part of, I suppose, who I am, where my career is going or has gone in the last few years.
And so you're mainly talk about sport on the radio anyways.
Actually, I'm going to bring it right back to the start. So when you won the competition for FM104, it was your best experience as a Dubs fan.
It was. So that's funny. It was the wording of it was your most memorable moment as a Dubs fan. So again, most people kind of went for that, and I was kind of like, well, I suppose if you're going to stand out, you better do something different. So I went for the, let me get this right, 2010 semi-final against Cork.
Okay. When we got hammered.
No, not that one. No. That was the semi-final where I think Brogan scored in the second minute, and Dublin led from the second minute till the 71st, and then lost it. And I can still remember I was at the top of the canal, and I still remember standing like with my hands behind my head and kind of going, how did we lose that match?
I think I was in the Cusack.
Yeah,
on the intersection between Cusack and Hogan.
And which was this down in Fraherfield down in Waterford, where you're actually from? Like, there we go again.
Yeah, he. My dad is a Dub.
Okay.
He grew up in Lochshinny.
Oh, okay.
Just because you're throwing around a name that you recognise, you think it makes you a Dub now? Cop on.
And he's been taking me to games since 2008.
Totally.
Oh yeah, like 2008.
So I've naturally enough, I've become a fan of Dublin football.
That's understandable.
Just by chance, they just happen to be.
3 years later.
Now, in fairness, right? So for me, like I was born in '91, and like I don't remember '95 at all. No recollection. Like I was 3 or 4, and 4. It's basic maths. And
you're our secondary school teacher.
I know, but literally, like I think, and it is a thing for modern Dubs fans, and again, modern Irish rugby fans, I think as well, where they don't know what it was like. Like, and I don't mean that in a way. Look, I in no way do I suggest that like we can understand like a team like Mayo or something like that. But like I remember. Like I just never saw it. I remember like
at an All-Ireland level, certainly.
Yeah, like and even like Leinster wasn't given.
Yeah, like Leinster.
Like I remember being pushed all the way by Leeds. Yeah,
like Westmeath at the time.
I have to say,
Meath as well.
I have to say, in fairness, since I started watching the Dubs, they've won every Leinster bar one, which was 2010.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But like even look at those games. Like I mean, like I think like the Armagh game with Ray Cosgrove hitting the post, like that Cork semi-final. It's still one of the lowest points I've had as a sports fan. Like the Kerry trouncing in 2009. There was like
the Tyrone trouncing in 2008.
Take your pick. Yeah. Like I remember being I was right behind the goal for Mulligan's, like
lashing
7 dummies or whatever it was, and like like we had our fair share. Look, we're getting more than our fair share of it now, but that for me stood out because it's a long time ago. It's Dublin's most devastating loss in a decade, pretty much, and so for me that was.
And it was definitely, as you said yourself, like a lot of people would have said, winning such thing, or it'd be a very fond memory. I suppose you taking the approach of,
just trying
to be
memorable. Trying to be a bit of a smart arse, like
It was Cork down in that final in 2010. Yeah.
The worst games I've ever watched. I remember watching that. That was saying they correct. I don't know. I'll check Google one later, but as far as I remember, United beat Liverpool 3-2 that day with a Berbatov hat-trick.
Wow.
So I remember watching both those games back to back. And 3D, Sky 3D had just come out.
Oh, wow.
I sat in the bar in Swords, my brother watching. We went to Swords to watch it. So exotic. And popped the 3D glasses on.
The dirty 33 down to Swords.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. And literally, sat there with the 3D glasses on. Oh, this is amazing. And the barman was like, haven't turned it on yet, lads. But yeah, it was a dreadful game. But that's the final was. But yeah, so that was for me. That's what, like, and I think it's important, like, just to try and be, and that's what I tried to do with the blogs as well, was just to try and give something different. Because
you had a bit of journalism experience at that stage. You had worked for
that's
County
right. Yeah, the North County Leader, great institution. In fairness to them, like, I mean, I walked in there as a 16-year-old TY student and work experience, and they gave me a part-time job and kept me going for a few years, like freelancing and stuff. And
what was it like going into a newsroom for the first time? Was it what you expected?
It was quieter and smaller because obviously, like, I mean, it was a local newspaper, but it was like they produced a paper a week. They were, and they were always, in fairness to them, they were always very good to me. And local news is, if I look at some of the people like that I used to deal with on a weekly basis, it was at a time where like North County Dublin's kind of whatever you call it, the electoral area was. very, very strong.
Fingal,
that's the one. Yeah, should know that. But like
for blowing there.
Lads like there was like Trevor Sargent was leader of the Greens Party when they were quite big. You had Brendan Ryan, who was a TD for Labour. Claire Daly was local TD. Like James Riley was Minister for Health. Like so, you didn't really appreciate it at the time, but you were cutting your teeth in a certain way. But the newsroom was like, it was really different. And I still remember like working there for a full week that summer and getting a front page, and it was.
What was the headline of your first front page?
It was I can't remember the headline, but it was basically about how it was such a slow news week. It was such a slow news week, and I went looking for something. So basically, I was like, "There's roadworks in Balbriggan. I wonder how are they getting on?" And I rang Film County Council. They're like, "Oh, they're delayed by 3 months." Delayed 3 months, like that kind of carry on. So. It was cool. So I had North County leader, and then I always had my toe in it like a little bit. I worked for College Times very briefly when they first started, and then I got approached by a guy who was the editor of Campus.ie. I knew him. He was a lad from school, and I came on board as their sports editor for a few years. That was really cool. I really enjoyed that. Because it was just something I could do in my spare time. So
yeah, and you probably had a lot of scope with it because
hugely. Yeah, it was just basically somewhere where I could bitch and moan about stuff if I wanted to, which was great. Yeah. Like, and in fairness, like I mean, like I look back on some of those articles now, and some of them, there's some opinions in there that you're kind of like, with time, like yourself, and you're kind of like, right, I wouldn't fully agree with that. Like I remember I wrote a really, really damning article about James McLean and the poppy. And it's one of the few now where I'm kind of like, I look at it and I'm like, I'm not really comfortable with everything that's out there. But there were other ones, like I wrote one about, I transferred GA club when I 2013, 2014.
Why?
And a few different reasons. Just like, and that's what the article is about, just this idea of, it just wasn't for me. And what I mean by that is like, I wasn't playing with mates. And I was kind of like, I'm not playing with my friends here. I'm putting a huge amount of time into it. I'm in a town or whatever it was where I just didn't feel 100% in it, and all I really cared about was playing football. I'd never got that graw for the parish kind of thing that the GA is built on. And look, that's as much on me maybe as the rest of the team and everything else. Absolutely. So I to be perfectly honest, I don't think I realised how big a deal it was when I did it.
I'm sure the backlash.
To be honest, at that stage,
have you played your former club?
No, never had to play them. It was a possibility at one stage, but no. Look, to be honest, like I said, I wasn't in the circles where I was going to get the backlash.
Okay.
Anyway, but they blocked it on a matter of principle, and I ended up in front of the Dublin County Board, pleading your case to 12 lads who don't know you from Adam, kind of thing. And look, I think it's there for a reason. It protects players, it protects clubs in particular.
How did you actually get it through? A dress rule or something? Like
no,
this,
so I couldn't, because I literally moved the next town over and I was still living in Skerries. So that's what they blocked it on. Okay. They were like the two criteria you can move on is address if you've changed places, or if if there's no team available at your age group.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
So obviously there's
So
obviously there's an adult team, and I was still living in the town. So I put forward the case that I was like, I want to play football. It's very, very simple in my eyes. I'm not going to play football for this club anymore. So if you stop me from moving, I'm just not going to play football. And there was also happened that two other lads had transferred or had successful transfers that weren't blocked.
Okay.
They hadn't played in about 10 or 15 years, but still I was kind of like, look, you can't block in a matter of principle. And what I will say is, in fairness to the club themselves, I think the reason they blocked it was more as a matter of principle. So if someone, exactly, and in fairness to them, they could have put the foot down and said no, and they didn't. So I have a lot of.
And greener pastures now, happier.
Yeah, well, like I'm not playing football anymore because I'm living across in the south side, and it's just too hard to get back across and stuff. And huge time commitment, but
junior or something.
I know, it's just I'll join Graham and Nathan out in the Ranelagh Gales. Yeah,
do they take on?
Graham plays for Ranelagh Gales.
No
we won
way.
a championship. Did he not tell you about it?
No,
it's all he talks about. Yeah.
Jeez, Nathan to be some full forward.
Yeah.
High ball in. You'd have to pull.
He's not. He doesn't look very coordinated.
Full forward, exactly, perfect.
Yeah, but like,
sorry, Nathan.
He'll admit it himself. I'm pretty sure he called himself a lanky ghoul during the interview.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
he did. Yeah.
So so I got to write about that kind of thing, and I loved it, and it was kind of just even having a little bit of scope in terms of like being able to find people who I thought might be interested in doing it. So yeah, and then I did a little bit then. I left campus when I stopped being when I left Pats, when I left ECU then in 2013, I left campus, and then I did a little bit of work there for Pundit Arena.
Okay.
Back when they first kind of came into Ireland, and again, it was
just articles.
Just articles, yeah. I remember it was funny. It only popped up recently because people were talking to CJ Stander in the England game, playing with a broken socket, a broken eye socket, and then look, that kind of stuff wrecks my head. I have every respect for a player that can do that, but I also think that it's a damning indictment on the modern like kind of football or rugby culture, whatever it is, that he's not pulled off the pitch straight away. Like someone should take a medical professional, in my opinion, should be able to take a look at him and be able to make that decision. But so I remember there was a similar. I wrote a piece about something like that when Austin Gleeson basically went back onto a pitch, and basically his ear was hanging off, literally was hanging off him. It was in the Munster Championship a few years ago, and I remember like reading a quote, and from what the quote said, the doctor knew how bad it was but didn't inform him and sent him back on. And I was kind of like, how worrying a precedent is this? And I was talking about concussion and all this kind of stuff, and it was funny because it was my first insight into this idea that, like, not even clickbait, but just that controversy sells. I didn't think I was being controversial. Apparently I was. So this was by far and away the most read article I ever wrote for Pundit Arena, and the backlash underneath it. I still remember one of the best comments underneath was, well, you can tell that Fanny never played football. And I was just like, I did.
Would you read, like, say, the comment section now on, say, even like your videos and stuff like that?
Yeah, now we would, from a kind of an interaction point of view, as much as anything else, but when you're younger, it's hard.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It is hard, like, and
your ego would certainly take.
It does take a bashing, and I'll never forget, like, before we kind of got anywhere really, last week, before we really kind of moved it into like our Michael Collins video got picked up by Joe and shared before we had any involvement with them or anything like that. And it was abuse. A genuine, like some of the stuff was quite ironic and quite funny. Like we had one where we had a lad like saying too soon, and we were like, it is 100 years ago, or like we'd stuff like that. And then, but we had genuine, really, really like hurtful kind of stuff.
Like personal comments.
Yeah, and like you're just kind of going, like for us especially, because we were always kind of like. Two of us have history degrees. One of the lads, his dad is a historian. He's mad into history as well. So like for us, like this wasn't something we took lightly. This wasn't something like, it was something that we thought was funny and could easily happen, and it was more of a comment on Irish society than anything else. But anyway, I still remember like one of the lads being like, I'll hop onto the Twitter there after getting a direct message. And I was like, what's this? And it was Rubber Bandits, and they were like, saw your video, saw the reaction. If you're annoying people like that, you're doing something right.
Jeez.
And we weren't in any way, like even less than we are now, known and stuff like that. But I remember just being kind of like, that's so huge. Like, and like for us, like it's something that we've kind of lived by since, because we're kind of like, yeah, if you are annoying a certain brand of people,
if people are talking about it, reaction.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like, like if your work has credibility, your work is whatever it is, and your content is viable. So like for us, that was a big moment. But now, like if you go through our YouTube comments now, it's just we just do it purely because like look, interaction builds following and so on, but also because it's just good fun. Like, and now what we do is whenever we get a negative comment on Michael Collins, like we'll just take the mic. Sorry, but like we literally we'd won there. It's our header, and we'd won where we'd a guy who commented away like a normal abuse, and we were like, cheers, glad you enjoyed the sketch. Up the dubs, talk to you soon or whatever. And he replied, it's still our Twitter header photo, and he just replied, fuck the Dubs and fuck you too. I was just like,
I like this.
It's
like something my phrase.
So yeah, if you're annoying certain people, you're doing something right. And that's kind of like, that's been a huge thing for us now in the past few years. It's just, but it is, I think, and particularly for people who are young, I think, and now you see like there's a demographic of people who are like 13, 14 starting YouTube channels, and you're kind of like,
Are they mentally prepared for the?
No, and they're not. Like they're not. Like same way like you struggle with it now when you're in your 20s or your 30s or whatever it is. Like so, yeah. It's look, we've gotten our fair share of it, and it's just part of the process. Like you have to learn to like take some of it on board if it's real, but most of it you just have to kind of.
I doubt there's too much constructive criticism.
No, there's very little. Like to be perfectly honest.
I think you could have done this better.
Yeah, you really need to enunciate your words better.
I just thought your lighting was a bit off. No, it's never anything like that.
No, it's just more like
it's usually something about our hair or something like that. Yeah, the usual.
On the other hand, Rob, you're quite active on Twitter. So, like, how do you find Twitter? Do you enjoy it? Do you get much abuse at all?
No, very little abuse. Very little interaction, fully, actually.
Right.
But no, look, I like Twitter.
Wait, how many followers do you have, bro?
Over 700. I have more followers than I'm following at the moment.
Oh, that's
I'm quite enjoying that at the moment.
Quite
enjoying that.
That's the key point,
I must go on and follow some people, actually.
In conversation with podcasts.
He actually follows me. So
I just follow him. That's going to have a favour now.
I like it. I think it's just a little less fake than a lot of social media. I find it's a lot realer. I find some of the ideas that are put out are deadly. I love the fact that you can genuinely interact with people that you never would be able to interact with before. I think that's and it's a great way to build following. It's a great way to kind of find new ideas, find articles. I really enjoy it. Like, there's certain accounts on it that are just brilliant. Like there's like the kind of like the state of LinkedIn, or it didn't happen in a year.
I love those pages.
They're brilliant. Or like from there right the way across to, like, say for example, I can't remember his name, Daniel something, who would live tweet Trump press conferences with all the lies he's telling, like, and baffling stuff. That kind of way. So like you kind of get the spectrum of like absolute clarity, and like that's brilliant, and I can switch off to like genuine political commentary kind of thing. So I think that's the reason why I like it. It's just that little bit more, I don't know. You're not living your best life on Twitter. I think this is maybe the best way to put it. But
you're not putting on that mask for
that filter kind
of. And do you engage in any other social media?
I have Facebook, have Instagram, but personally it's like Facebook for me anyway. It's just I literally use it for the shift stuff, and that's it. Like and to cringe at the old memories and stuff like that. But that's it. I don't know. It's funny. Like you have to wonder what's the best way to build following and all this stuff now, because for a while Facebook was this hub. Yeah. Like not only in terms of like our own personal use and stuff in the early 2010s, but like there are companies who built their entire model or adapted their model to Facebook video, and then with the click of a finger and the move of an algorithm, it's nothing anymore. That kind of way. Snapchat and Instagram are definitely taking the wind out of Facebook sales. 100%. And
I think Instagram more so. I think even Snapchat is starting to fall by the wayside.
We've even noticed ourselves now. Say if we promote on Facebook one of our episodes, it's not getting half as much feedback as it would have done.
And this is my problem as well. Like we have, I don't know what it is, like a few thousand followers on Facebook, but if you look at your reach, it's never the full whack. And you're expected, like this idea that you should have to pay for followers that you have generated, that you have hooked in, that you have gone out of your way to get. But I have to pay to make them see.
Interact
That's
with them,
like that kind of stuff drives me mental. And the other thing is as well is that it's quite misleading. Like, and if you say for example on your video stats, so you try like this evening with a laptop, try and find your retention stats. And what I mean by retention stats is how long someone lasts into a video. Yeah. So for YouTube, from what I know, it's 3 to 6 seconds. I think anyway. I haven't checked in a while. 3 to 6 seconds counts as a view. Okay. So if you click into a video accidentally and then come back out of it, it's not a view. However, if you flick past the video on your timeline on Facebook, that's a view. Wow. Right? Okay. So like if you go into your retention stats, like I remember we put up a video, and because it was our own and we could look at them, we had 20,000 views on them. And I remember going in, and now it'll take you about 10 minutes to find the retention stats. That's the first thing, because they don't like you seeing them. But when we went into it, we were realizing that like 15,000 of those people had dropped off after 10 or 15 seconds, because they just scroll past it. And you're kind of like, so Facebook gives off, I think, the impression that it's great for you and it's great for your following and stuff, but
your metrics are kind of feeding into that
completely.
Which is bizarre, because we found that Instagram, in the past couple of weeks, we found that Instagram is probably a more effective social media tool, but they are owned by Facebook. Yeah. So it's strange that one seems to be a lot more efficient than the other, but are both run effectively by the same.
Yeah, I don't. But see, another thing is, I don't think Facebook probably. A lot of people just they don't use Facebook anymore, and if they do, they purely use it for Messenger. They purely use it for
or finding out people's birthdays.
Yeah, pretty much. You know,
Pretty much. And one person that was quite vocal about being against Facebook was Ricochet.
Yeah,
okay.
He said that he had a page, and he found that despite the following, he was not getting nearly as much interaction, like proportionally. Whereas then he started a group for his book club,
the book club,
which is obviously 23k or 24k
20,
strong, and he found that as soon as he started the group, interaction just shot up, because if you're part of a group, things tend to come up more often. It's prioritized. Yeah, exactly. And he spoke wonders about Twitter really, but he said he was kind of a damning indictment.
Yeah, and like it's funny, like, I'd say if you ask like kind of the up and coming generation or whatever you want to call them, like the people in their teens now, none of them have Facebook.
No.
Do you know that kind of way? So the bubble looks to have burst on it. Look, I'm absolutely no expert at all, but from what I can see anyway, for us, like I think like Facebook was the biggest one for us because it was the biggest one for our generation. And like I remember, like I only set up our Instagram last January, because we were like we don't have any following. Like we and we were trying to like broaden out across social media. I think we'd Snapchat for 2 weeks and I got bored of it. And so yeah, I think it's more like I don't know. Your platform is important, but I think it's more your content is what makes it. You know, that kind of way. And if you have good content, it gets out some way or another, I think, no matter what social media you're using.
And obviously, Joe, as a teacher, I'm sure you're probably quite conscious of what you actually put out in that sphere. Like, has it weighed? Like, I know obviously before you were qualified and such, did it weigh on your mind? Like, what are you putting out in that public?
It once I applied, so that would have been back second year in college. Once I applied, I became a little bit wary of it, and then obviously being in school, then I became very aware of it. Yeah, it's affected what we can do. Like, there's no other way of saying it. Like, the lads have come to me with sketches, and I've had to go, either that goes out by yourselves, or I can't put my name to it. I can't be in it. I operate by a very, very simple rule, and that's, like, if I can't put that up in a classroom, I can't do it. And look, I'm not going to lie, it's affected what we've been able to do, but I'm just, like, you can't be too careful in this day and age. And
have you ever had a backlash where maybe a parent or a...
No, it's nothing but positive, like, which is great. Like, and in fairness, like, there came a time back in 2014 when I was just about to start as my first full-time job, and the lads had just started in Joe.ie, and it just kind of made sense. We were like, let's draw a line. Let's finish it now. You guys can't make content now. I'm probably in a situation where I shouldn't be. So we kind of drew a line there. And we kind of, I don't know, the biggest thing was, for me, it was like, how long till people find out? 2 days in my new shop. Literally 2 days. In a school where no one knew who I was. 2 days. And you just have to use it as a positive. Like,
I suppose you have to control the spin on it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. Like, I remember one of the teachers asked me, could he use one of the videos in assembly after a few weeks? And I was like, do you know what? It's incredibly cringy, but yeah, because I'll sit there and I'll be like, yeah, that's me. And if you own it, like, I always find that if you own it, that's one of the things now that would be kind of like a handicap for me going into a classroom. The other is the fact that I literally look like a TY. So,
Rob, what age am I?
21.
25.
Right, so you're only like 2 years younger than me. Like, so like you at least have facial hair. Like,
well, when I go into the press box, they're like, "Where's your daddy?"
Oh, when you lost,
boy.
Hang on now, Greg got ID'd. Wait for this now. For Red Bull.
Oh yeah.
You have to be 16 years old to buy Red Bull. In his hometown.
On your hometown, that's...
okay, so, sorry. It wasn't my hometown. Like, I'm from a very small town, as the boys know. But it was in Portlaoise.
You got ID'd for Red
Bull. I got
Bull.
ID'd for it.
I got ID'd for the lotto. That was the lowest I ever got. What? I got ID'd for the lotto.
Wow. You have to be 18 to do it too?
Yeah, because it's gambling, technically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got...
another one was... I was getting rolling papers for cigarettes for my friend, and
for my friend, man, I promise.
All right, Rob. I was ID'd. Despite the fact, I ran up on my lunch break in work. I drove there. Okay, so I had the car keys in my hand. I had my name badge from the place I work. It was a bar, and I also it was like 10:30, so you have to be over 18 to work in a bar. Anyways, all this. I went up and she wouldn't give them to me. She was like, "Do you have ID?" And I was like, "It's paper with a bit of adhesive on it. Like, what's the problem?" And
surely knowing the word adhesive should be enough to prove
yeah,
you're
like
over 18.
much, like I don't think it registered with her. She didn't look too sharp. And then, she just like I was like, I've got car keys, so look, I have to be at least 17 to be driving a car. So you know.
Well, actually, that's funny because there was a guy in school, and he was one of the first lads in our year to start drinking, and it's the funniest thing. He used to, in order to get served at the age of 15, right? You wouldn't get away with it now. He used to go into the off license, right? And he'd put on his dad's blazer and tie. No Will from the In-Betweeners kind of thing, right? Yeah. And he'd walk in and he'd be on the phone twirling his car keys, right? His car keys. And he'd be like, no, fill out that spreadsheet. 6 cans of Dutch, please. And got away with it. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, he could get served. So, but look, it's about... I always the thing for me was like, no, it's never going to draw back, thankfully, but I have to be careful. Like, it's as simple as that. And there's been situations where, like I said, the lads have come to me with scripts and we can't use them. Or I remember we had a gig in Whelan's a few years ago, and a load of my ex-students showed up, and I was kind of like, I got really kind of freaked out for a second, and I was like, actually no, that's actually really cool. And I was like, that's cool. They went to the ball, and they're not current or whatever it was. But again, like, you just have to be a little bit careful. And you can see it nowadays, like with social media and stuff like that. I don't like using phrases like cancel culture or whatever it is, but you have to mind yourself, you know. And no, thankfully I've always been careful with it, and thankfully I haven't had any of the backlash from it. But
have you ever had any cheeky kid in your class? You know,
constantly.
Oh
my God, constantly. Yeah. You get you get lines thrown at you. No, the biggest one is parent teacher meetings. Is parents sitting down and
they probably. Did they struggle to take you seriously?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, like I mean, like I said,
I don't mean that in a bad way.
No, but I remember when I first started. Like, so, like I've been teaching now for 5 years. Like, I remember my first year. I like parents must have sat down and been like, oh, "Come on, my son has a beard." Like, you know what I mean? And yeah, so look, you have to. Like, everyone has their own things or whatever it is. You own it, you move on with it, and you try as much as possible to use it to your advantage. Like,
what's your go-to retort now for some smart chap in your class?
I usually go, that sounds really good. Is that from a video? What's the name? I'll put that up. No, I'm quite old fashioned in that. I like to do the old. It's my favourite. Like, I just think the old ones are the best ones. Yeah.
Ever throw a duster in the direction of the toilet?
I don't have dusters anymore. It's no chalk.
Oh shit! Yeah. Oh, the whiteboard ones.
Yeah.
They're soft.
They're much softer. Yeah, they bounce straight off the kids' heads.
Oh yeah.
So I hear.
I got a duster missed me by this much. Very Paul Galvin-esque. Yeah. And again, it was former Laois captain actually that threw it at me. But
who's involved in the media?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, actually, he does a bit of radio. Chris, if you're listening. But yeah, if you remember Paul Gavin, didn't he catch a kid with a duster?
That's right.
Yeah, I remember that. Back when he was a teacher, do you remember when he taught?
That's right. Yeah, and
then he was a model.
Then he was a model. Now he's his own fashion designer and inspired by Samuel Beckett.
And he's still one of the biggest worst interviews you could ever.
Oh, did I ever see him on the Late? Oh wow. Yeah.
I don't. There's certain people I don't understand why they put themselves in the public eye if they're not willing to make an effort. Like, there has to be a little bit of a give and take.
Yeah. Especially on the Late. Like.
Yeah. But, you know, like, the more I watch it, right? So we came across Ryan Tubridy when we were filming. We did a sports prank show pilot for RTE back in 2013-14, and Ryan Tubridy was on board for one of them. We were pranking Kenny Egan. And he was meant to be interviewing Kenny Egan, but he was in on it or whatever. And we'd written it, and then a couple of us were in it. And I remember meeting Ryan Tubridy for the first time, and my impression of him was the Late Show, or the Toy Show, or his own show, or whatever it is. And the more I remember our interactions with him, and the more I see him on the Late, the more I think he got railroaded into something that just doesn't suit him. Like, and I mean that with every respect to the man. I think he's an incredibly difficult job. I think he's incredibly restricted by what he can ask and what he can say and what the tone is supposed to be, because I think Ireland is still very much like that. But he is like one of the funniest people I've come across. Like, he was, like, when we were writing the sketch and stuff, he was putting input in and stuff like that. And I remember him saying, "This is what I love doing. taking the piss out of someone, being a bastard. He was like, I love this kind of stuff. And he did a couple of Republic Italy sketches. There's one, I think it's only got about like 1,000 views, so I can't remember when it went out, but I still go back and watch it every so often. But it's basically him prepping for the Late Late Show when he's going to interview Nelson Mandela. And they tell him at the last second that he's actually going to be interviewing John Creedon. Right? And it's brilliant, because he's literally sitting there and he's like, oh, I don't want to be here. And you're just kind of like, that doesn't come that naturally to you. There must be a part of him that's like that. So I actually think it's, how do I say this? I think it's another example of mismanagement of talent by RTE. And I mean that in the best possible way. I think they have to.
Yeah, the talent is there. It's just not in the right place.
But is that something the format of the show, or is it the fact that it's the state broadcaster?
I think it's the format of the show. I think it's the fact that it's up directly against its complete opposite in the Graham Norton show.
Yeah.
But I also think it's the fact that, like we were talking about earlier, like if you're annoying certain people, you're doing good things. But the problem is that certain people in Ireland is about 60% of the population, and they're the people who still watch TV, and they're the people who still give the ratings. So I think they that's still who they appeal to. And RTE is it's quite a conservative place, and there's
you and the guys have obviously done a small
bit a small bit now. And what we found,
did it factor in that at all? Where you sat down and said, "Look."
No, it was never said. But I think quite often what I find with RTE, I think, is that, particularly when it comes to programming and stuff like that, is that they find something that works and they beat the living crap out of it. Flawless. Like Damon Ivor has got 2 series in a movie, am I right in saying that? Like, that was a sketch on Republic Italy. Brilliant sketch in a sketch format, right? It worked well. Personally, I don't like those stereotypes. I think it's just easy comedy. But they did the same with Bridget and Eamon. Very good in a short sketch. Becomes a television programme, okay? That has, and if you look at those later seasons of Republic Italy, they had some of the funniest people you could ask for in Ireland. They had Fred Cook, they had Kevin McGahern, Andrea Farrell, these really, really funny people. But I don't know whether it's just fear of trying something new or whatever it is. Like the Rubber Bandits have said something similar as well, that when they produce something for RTE, all they're thinking about is how they're going to clip it up and put it out online. And I just find what I've seen anyway is that there's quite a drain of talent now leaving Ireland. Like if I look at some of the people that we've come across as well, like Alison Spittle, gone to the UK, in London now. Ryan Cullen, Edinburgh, because there's not a huge amount of opportunities here in Ireland. It's very hard to break in. It's very hard to, what do you aim for anymore? That's what myself and the lads had this conversation a while ago. Like when we first started being kind of like, right, we might be able to do something with this. We were like, right, programming RT, that's the aim. Is it the aim anymore? That kind of way. Like what if you're a young content creator in Ireland, it's very, very hard because what are you actually aiming to do? What are you trying to do?
YouTube now and just social media, there's a lot more avenues that people can go down.
I suppose you're not tied geographically.
I think Conor Moore, in the fact that he was doing stuff on the Sunday Game, RTE, but then he was at the US Open. Yeah,
but he's been picked up. Another lad who I spotted, and there's a perfect example of someone who I believe anyway. Like we have plenty of mimics in this country and stuff like that, and produce brilliant stuff. The one thing Conor Moore has that I think is just absolute gold dust is that, yes, incredible impersonator. But my God, if you took his content and read it on a page, it's funny. Whereas I find with some of the other ones that you see in Ireland, you just don't see that. There's no depth to it. It relies entirely on the mimicking and entirely on the impersonation. But the actual jokes and stuff he writes are brilliant. That kind of way. So there's an example of someone who kind of went as far as he could in Ireland by his mid-20s. Yeah. And now is on a major US TV, and one of the nicest guys you can meet as well.
Conor's actually former guest of
that's right, yeah.
And when we were speaking with him, he spotted a niche, and that was golf. There was nobody doing it for golf, and fair play to him. I think he said himself to us in the interview that it is a very limited scope in Ireland. It's a very limited audience, and I think he commented that the English humour it is slightly different, and but fair play to Conor, he's doing great.
But that's it. But it's frustrating now that even with all these developments, with all these kind of technological advances and all this kind of stuff, is that we're still exporting our talent. Like, you know, it's no different than it was for the likes of Dara O'Brien. Or, like, you know, when's the last time, like, do you guys remember the panel on RT?
My favourite show.
Like, I grew up watching the panel. That was
Dara
brilliant.
O'Brien,
Like, you know, and that used to be, like, and then you, like, I don't know. I find now that there's just not a hell of a lot of places to go. Like, look, The Young Offenders, brilliant Irish comedy, BBC produced. Dairy Girls, Channel 4. Like, Father Ted going back, Channel 4. Like, you know, and you kind of have to ask yourself a question is, when is the last time good Irish comedy was produced in Ireland?
But it seems that RTE nowadays, they don't like to take risks.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, and like we found that a little bit. Like, yeah, it's frustrating, you know. And there are such brilliant and funny and unique voices out there. Like, if you go to any of the stand-up gigs in Dublin, right, you can get free comedy most nights in Dublin or pay a £5. Like, you know, like Cherry Comedy in Whelan's, or like, you know, the International, or the Comedy Crunch in the Stag's Head, or On Shore, or any of those places, and you can see hilarious people, like really funny people, the likes of Peter McGann, like even Claire Cullen, who obviously made her fame on YouTube, was a good stand-up comedian as well. Like, and it's just, I don't know. I find the problem is, personally, I think, is that it's very limited in Ireland, but it's also that RTE, and I think a lot of other comedians and stuff as well, it's this, it drives me mental, but it's this focus on, myself and lads call it immersion humour. It's that, like, what did you leave the immersion on?
Yes.
That, you know, that kind of easy Irish paddywhackery, flat 7-up, you know, like, and I feel like it's been done to death.
Yeah.
And it really frustrates me, because unfortunately, that is what makes it now. Like, that is what you will see.
What's selling. Like,
it's what's selling, and that's frustrating. It's frustrating because, look, maybe it's just frustrating for me because I don't find it that funny, but I just feel sometimes that, like, Ireland is, it's a small place, and maybe it is a little.
Yeah, no, a lot of the humour out there is like, oh, you know, you're Irish when that kind of ilk, like this kind of trying to relatable, going back to your childhood kind of humour.
But it's tagging culture as well. Like, you know, that kind of way. It's what, and that's how you get most of your interactions now, is if you tag your friends, because it's not just going to pop up on their timeline, it's popping up on their friends' timeline, and so on. So, look, people do what they have to do as well, and but yeah, that's incredibly difficult. I think is that trying to be original or trying to be different. I think, and trying to take a different slant on things, and because I think Ireland is maybe not the place to try and do that.
Do you see a show like The Panel on RTE again?
I'd love to see.
Do you think they'd return something like that? I think they've kind of steered away from that.
I think so too, because, like, and if you think about that now, like, how well would that work? Like, if you put that on like a Sunday evening or a Monday evening at half line, right? Like, and if you have a full social team on that, you can have live tweeters or whatever it is. You clip out, you know, the 30-second funny bits, and you put them out on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. Like, it writes itself. Actually, sorry, it doesn't. Like,
you've probably got 5 fairly well-known comedians.
You could,
you know, and
like, literally, you've probably got 50.
Yeah,
literally.
And
you know, like,
all their followers come, like, you know,
old names,
new names,
old names, new names. Like, if you put, honest to God, like, if you put like a panel up there, like, I know back in the day it was, you know, the likes of Andrew Maxwell, Dara O'Brien, and Neil Delamere, people like that, Dermot Whelan and stuff. But there's a new generation there. Like, and if you put, like, you could imagine, like think of the panel setup, and if you had, say, for example, like Alison Spittle or Eleanor Tiernan or Andrea Farrell, Kevin McGahern, like the Rubber Bandits, Foil Arms and Hog, like, they're, come on, like, that's just off the top of my head. Like, there you go. There's no, like, all you need is a studio. You could borrow Primetime's one. Yeah. Like, it's not that hard, but there's a risk in it, and there's a risk in it, and I think, I think because it's state broadcaster, because it's accountable to the public, and maybe it's not what everyone in the public wants. Maybe that's what it is. But there it is. There you go. There's an old format. Bring back the panel. Nostalgia is huge at the moment. Everyone, like look at anything that's come out, like Stranger Things. Like there's a huge push at the moment for nostalgia. Like, God, if the panel was on, I would block aside an hour on whatever day it was to go and watch it live. So, like, the opportunities are there, but they're not being taken.
Do you still see RT as the pinnacle for an emerging, we'll say, media enthusiast?
No, I wouldn't. No, and
I'd agree.
Sorry. Not in terms of comedy or whatever. In terms of comedy, no.
Okay.
I absolutely still think they're the pinnacle in terms of what they do sporting wise, and
okay.
so, and that's as like some of the personalities that they have and everything. Like, so I think sports journalism wise, absolutely, and radio wise, some of the stuff they produce is fantastic. Like if you listen to Morning Ireland in the mornings, like 2 hours that just run like clockwork every morning, like it's incredible. So absolutely, they are the pinnacle in terms of stuff like that. When it comes to comedy, no,
Not
I wouldn't.
their
I just don't know, and it's unfortunate. But again, I don't think it's entirely their fault. I think they're completely hamstrung by the situation they find themselves in, and accountability, and like I said, the backlash. Like, listen to Joe Duffy, and you'll realise why RT can't produce.
I didn't actually listen to it after the late Valentine's special, but I'd say Joe's ears were burned.
That
was
go.
tragic.
Yeah, well, it always is tragic. Yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah, look, there you go. That's the perfect example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rob, just in terms of talking about the media landscape now in Ireland, do you think about it from your own perspective, your own career, on maybe ever moving abroad? I know you got your teaching here full time.
Abu Dhabi for a year, tax free.
It has to be 2 years. Yeah, if you come back after you have to pay your tax.
Oh,
apparently.
really?
Yeah. Apparently, so here.
Oh, I
yeah.
didn't know that.
Look, yeah, I think it's kind of ingrained in Irish people to glance abroad. I think. Look, I don't know. I'm still very young. Like, I'm 5 years into my teaching. Like, you know, I still have another 30 years in my career technically. So,
Suppose if you take the break earlier, then because you go back in at the lowest pay grade, don't you?
No, you just, but yeah, you lose
Yeah,
out.
you lose
like,
the-
and it's more like, yeah,
I'm not telling you to go to Australia, like, but go to Australia.
yeah. But it's kind of like, I don't know. We were chatting before we came on about like Jarlath Regan's Irishman Abroad, and there's a line in that. It's like, you know, I couldn't do what I had to do in Ireland. I had to go to England or whatever it was, and there is this kind of, yeah, you know, growing us for export almost. Look, I don't know is my honest answer. I've been incredibly fortunate in what I've done so far in terms of the opportunities I've been given, the people who have backed me at really important moments, be that in like, you know, the likes of Paddy McKenna and Joe Lally, Hazel and Nolan and 104, the likes of Mick Brennan, Eamon Mahoney and RT, like a huge backing from them, from people at really important points. But I don't know is the honest answer. It's a hard leap to take.
Yeah.
It's a hard leap to go from guaranteed job, guaranteed wage, stability, hours, pension, all that kind of stuff. It's difficult. And I came incredibly close to doing that a while ago. And I still remember getting in after a shift on the sports desk, and I remember kind of sitting on the edge of the bed, and I remember turning to my girlfriend and just being like, I'm at a moment here. I'm at a crossroads kind of, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what decision I'm going to make, but I feel like in 10, 15, 20, 30 years, I'm going to be looking back at this and going, great decision or bad decision. And kind of trashed it out for an hour and really, really thought about just giving it a go, for a year and trying it. Yeah, just trying it for a year. And I was like, look, I'm not making a decision this evening. I have a couple of months or whatever it was. And the following day, and like literally 12 hours later, there were huge redundancies announced in one of the media companies I was working in at the time. And part of me took that as a sign. Part of me was kind of like, right, there you go. And in fairness, like, that was one avenue of work. And then another avenue of work about 2 months later, the outside of the teaching dried up as well. And I was kind of going, like, if I had jumped, I would have been jumping into a shallow pool, like, you know. And so that scared me. And it sticks with you, you know, that kind of way. Because even, like, no matter how good it's going in media, like we were talking about earlier with the Facebook algorithms, it can flip in a heartbeat. Yeah. So I don't know is the honest answer, as much as I would love to do it. But it's also, yeah, like, I love teaching. I love what I do. I've found myself, whatever, with 2 or 3 jobs that you can't do unless you love doing them. Yeah.
So Rob, as I said, we'll bring it back to the lighthearted side. Outside of work, outside of, we'll call it your other work as well. What do you like to do? How do you relax?
It depends. Sport, for me, like, yeah, absolutely, like, it's a huge part of one of the things that I work at, but like that for me is just, yeah. Now, relaxing probably isn't the word. If you're a United fan, you're watching the game last night, like, it's been a bad couple of weeks for false optimism and being crashed very, very quickly back down to earth as an Irish rugby fan, and then as a United fan as well. So yeah, sport for me is massive, like, and that's like running and playing Astro and stuff like that.
Question for you, Rob.
Yeah.
Are Liverpool going to bottle it this year?
I really hope so. I really hope
Colin
so.
here is a diehard Liverpool fan.
Fuck you.
I wrote a piece for Campus years ago, and it was the year of what was the year Liverpool won the title? Sorry, the year Gerrard slipped. The year Gerrard slipped, and I remember writing a piece being like, I should want Liverpool to win the league, but I can't. And it's exactly the same now. Right?
This episode is never going to air.
But I can't stand City, right? I can't stand them in terms of them being United's closest rivals and all that kind of stuff, right? But also just what they stand for, like, and how they're backed and where they make their money and all the stuff that's come out in the recent months. Just no, it's not like they're just not a club I could ever get behind. Whereas you look at Liverpool, like, and look how likeable some of their players are. Like, look at Klopp, like what a brilliant kind of energetic, charismatic manager. Like, look at Salah, to come from nothing almost to where he is now, and the likes of Firmino and Mane. Like, there's no one hateable in the Liverpool team anymore. Like, you know, there's for me anyway, there's no Suarez, there's no Carragher, there's no Hoopier, like all those players that I grew up by, just being like, oh, I can't stand lads like that. But no, do I think Liverpool are going to bottle it? I think what happens against United on Sunday week is massive for them, because it either kickstarts their season or it destroys it. I think if they beat United, they could easily win the league. I have them tipped to win it in a pool in work, and part of me is kind of like, well, win-win. Liverpool win, at least I have that. It's just the fans I can't stand. No fans.
I kind of have one Liverpool to win, so Colin doesn't throw another tantrum.
Another one.
Yeah.
After Real Madrid final last year, or
No, I just get very worked up and agitated when I watch Liverpool play. I never. No, that was Ireland. That wasn't Liverpool.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
But yeah, I don't actually look forward to a game anymore, because I hate, like. Because
do you think that transfers to the players? Because like Liverpool fans must be en masse like that.
Yeah.
But when you see the way they play, they're a little bit panicked.
Leicester and West Ham games, definitely.
See, I don't know what it is, because it happened in 13-14 as well. We were playing amazing football, thrashing teams week in, week out, and then you get to a stage where one result trips you up, and then your whole season could go to shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's kind of a click moment, or is it just over time it builds up. But it just seems like. And like, obviously media doesn't help as well, like people talking about Liverpool title hopes basically from the start of the season, and before, it probably doesn't help either. But it just, because it seems like, because obviously we had like that perfect month of December where it just seemed like any team in our path we would just sweep them aside.
City were losing.
And then
that's what people have forgotten.
We had that game against City. And it just seems like one thing falls out of place and the whole thing goes to shit. The whole thing going to shit. Like, people were freaking out.
It's 2 draws.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like, never lost a game.
Yeah, exactly. We've lost one game in the league all season. That, like, and I keep going back to this. If as a Liverpool fan you offered me that at the start of the season, I would bit your hand off.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But now, it's just it.
You won't be able to enjoy a game now until May. Yeah. Isn't that like
I can't enjoy a game until it's over and they've been on the winning side. Yeah. That's it. Literally, I can't watching a game, and like, it's usually once they score the first goal, I think it's grand. Like, I'm fairly grand, but it's scoring that first goal, and the longer it goes on, the longer it the more awful it is. It's never been easy being a Liverpool fan, and it never will be easy being a Liverpool fan.
Start crying again. Rob, what do you have a favourite stadium in Ireland? Or even county grounds?
Yeah, I miss Lansdowne Road. Like, I was only chatting about this with like you know the tiny stand in the Aviva Stadium.
Yeah.
That's the schoolboy section now. Do you guys remember the old schoolboy section?
I never got to go to Lansdowne Road.
Right, so the old schoolboy section was like terraces.
Okay.
And like, you get your ticket for like whatever it was. I sound like I'm about 60.
Then you'd get your tickets for an apple and a bomb.
But you get your tickets, whatever it was, for like dirt cheap. And I remember going to the Autumn International in 2004, and I'd just be like, I remember Ireland beat South Africa. O'Gara scored a try, then our it was like the hill. You moved with the players, stuff like that, and I missed that in the stadium. I started going back to League of Ireland games last year, and like Taymount Park is funny.
Do you support Rovers?
No, I'm a Bows man. Yeah. So, but yeah, there's something really nice about God. Like, I know Bows thing at the moment is Terrace is not TV. There is something about being at a match like that's really, really special. So yeah, I love like those old League of Ireland stadiums. Like again, like I remember going to Stadium when I was a kid, Tucker Park. Yeah, those old kind of stadiums are class. And then like even like Parnell is, I'm realising I'm naming.
Parnell, where's that?
What?
Where's that?
It's a Dubs home ground.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I thought that was Croke Park.
No, don't be silly. So Parnell for me.
I think, Colin, you've never been to a game in Parnell, have you? Like,
he's a real Dubs fan. You don't go to Parnell again.
Don't get me started.
But Parnell Park is like, I know I'm doing a real Dub thing of only naming stadiums in Dublin. But like the thing I love about Parnell Park is two things. One is that it's just so compact. Like it's real proper county ground kind of stuff. Like it's like kind of like, you know, Park Dalton and Meath or something like that.
Close to the pitch.
Yeah, close to the pitch. But also, that was your pinnacle when you were a kid.
Oh, yeah.
That's where your primary school finals were. That's
yeah.
where you wanted to play. And I remember playing in there in 6th class and just being like, oh, wow, this is class.
When you were working in the regional paper, did you ever do the Cumberland One School finals?
No, never covered them.
Oh,
no.
I did it twice and I'll never do it again.
Really?
Just the backlash. Like, I swear to God, we had parents ringing in.
Oh, that doesn't surprise
spelled
me.
Spelled name wrong. My son actually scored 3 points, not.
Yeah,
you
sure,
know.
Paul Howard tweeted something about that letter. He said he got a solicitor's letter from it was Paul Howard. I can't remember if it was him or someone else, but there was a solicitor's letter sent into the newspaper because a try had been attributed to the wrong player in a senior cup game.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, we shared it on Twitter a few weeks ago. It's worth going back and looking at. Yeah, so yeah, people get very productive. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I actually met someone on a night out and they were like, it was actually the night my bank card got swollen at that time. And she was like, she had twin sisters, and like they were younger obviously, and the teacher had actually, like the teacher can't tell them apart. Is what I learned afterwards.
Okay.
So she just kind of So one of them actually scored like 6 points. The other was full back, so she didn't score. And very aggrieved, and I had to listen to it for like 10 minutes of a drunken girl screaming on Main Street, Portlaoise.
Yeah, that's the joys of local media, isn't it? Your faces now.
Rob, tea or coffee?
Oh, coffee.
How do you take your coffee?
Milk.
Just
no
milk.
sugar. Yeah, I can't drink tea.
Sweet enough, like
sweet enough. I don't like tea. I know.
I don't like
You're tea. Irish and you don't. What? Oh, come on! And did you leave the immersion on? Yeah, I try. I remember actually being like, I'm gonna try in 6th year. I was like, I'm gonna try, and I was like, no, this is awful. Can't get into it. Yeah. I used to like it with like 4 sugars in it, and then I was like, I should probably stop because diabetes.
I do 2 now, but too heat. Yeah.
Rob, favorite films or music?
Oh, films. I'm notorious with lads for like being really bad for films. The Departed is definitely up there. Mainly because I went to see it in the cinema and hated it. Because I thought Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio were the same person for ages. And then I remember one of the lads being like, go back and watch it. And I remember going back and loving it. And then I remember like myself and Owen from Shifts went away to France when we were like 16 and we just had a TY and went with his parents, like, and I remember like he was like, right, this is your education in film, and I was like, all right, class. And we watched like, I still remember like watched The Prestige, Zodiac, Seven, and I like all those movies always stand out to me because I was just like, all right, so this is what good film is. Music, I am again appalling. I'm mad myself. A couple of lads are gotten mad back into Irish music, like the Dubliners and kind of folk music and all that kind of stuff. So, big fan of that.
What do you make of the Liv Kelly statue? Isn't it awful?
Lads, I love them. I think they're class. Big head, it's brilliant. Did you see the photo with up on Twitter last night of the guy running past it? Yeah. But I don't know. I think Ireland, like, we're awful for like dragging people down straight away kind of things. But I have to say, it's what he looked like when he sang, and that's how most people remember him. And I don't know, I like it. Yeah, and it just kind of it captures it really well.
Certainly being a tourist and heading to Ireland and seeing.
If you saw that as a tourist, you'd be like, I need to get out of this town right now. Like, who is this, like, Medusa looking lad? But no, I have to say, no, I love it. Yeah, absolutely love it. Yeah.
Favorite interview you've done and somebody you'd like to interview?
Favorite interview I've done.
That's a good. Why have we not used that question?
That's a great question.
Just thought that now.
It's a toss-up between, I interviewed Catherine Switzer, who was the first woman to win the Boston Marathon.
Cool.
And that was just amazing. Like, it was just kind of like her story and everything around it, and like it was on the 50th anniversary and stuff. Like, that was really cool. And just how relevant her story was to kind of what's been going on now in the world in the past couple of years. That was really interesting. And the other one was Philly McMahon, purely because it was my first really serious interview for 104, and he was just one of the most interesting guys you could come across. Like, and really, really good, really sound, really, really great with his time and everything. So yeah, they'd be the two that stand out to me. Like, there's been others along the way, like, but no, those would stand out for me. In terms of who I'd love to interview, Shay Given.
Funny story, for the Champions League final last year, we went to J.K. Stoutman's, a mate of mine, and my dad and my uncle went to J.K. Stoutman's because I think Joe were doing an event there.
Okay.
They were doing a panel discussion or whatever beforehand, and then obviously they were screening the game. And of the panel, there was Shay Given and David Thompson. They were downstairs, we were upstairs in Stoutman's, and we were watching the game. And like 2 minutes into the game, over my shoulder, look up, Given, standing right there, and I got to watch. Like, it was pretty surreal. I got to watch the Champions League final with Shay Given, and he was like he was engaging with us, like he was like talking about the game.
Colin, you probably would have asked him for an interview, but you're probably crying after the game.
Yeah, I already did ask him
halfway
for an
through.
interview, actually. He said yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
Can I come? Do you know, he was
in conversation has his fourth member.
We've been trying to replace Gavin for a while.
No, he was my hero growing up. Like, I always played in nets, no matter what sport I played. Like, so, like, I still remember entering an essay competition in 4th class about how much I loved Shay Given. I drew a picture and everything. Please don't listen to this, Shay. I'll never tell you. But yeah, I'd love to sit down.
The leap card ad is horrific, though.
It's just
yeah.
I love his older stuff. Not a big fan of his new releases. But no, he's just someone who's always fascinating to be at the top of your game. Like, when's the last time we had an Irish international who played that many games in the Premier League? And as well, like, I mean, quite interesting in terms of, like, he missed out on 2 Premier League medals. So he went out on loan from 2 clubs, Blackburn in 95-96 and City in whatever year,
11-12.
Yeah, that's right, the Aguero year. So he missed Premier League medals on both of those occasions. And that always really interested me as well. I was kind of like, what's that like to, like, even if you played 60 minutes, would you still feel part of it or whatever? And then the retirement, coming out of retirement, he's someone like I'd love to sit down and
well, we always finish off the show, Rob, with a question. Any advice you can give, or what's the best piece of advice you can give?
The best bit of advice I can give is, if you get your foot in the door, kick it down with the other one. And I mean that in the best possible way. Like, if you are lucky enough to get a break in media or in radio or journalism or print and digital, whatever it is, just do not go into it lukewarm. Like, give it everything. Show that you're committed. Show that you're passionate. Show that you've done your work. That you, like, because that's something that's always stood to me, is just being able to prove that you're worthy of being there. Because if you don't prove that, no one's going to prove it for you. That's the only bit of advice I can give is, and just work your socks off and realise that, no job is 9 to 5 anymore. That you are going to lose weekends, you're going to lose evenings, you're going to miss stuff. And if this is something you really want to do, then you cannot stop pushing for it. The best bit of advice I was ever given was pass it forward. And in that, if you ever end up in a position where you can do that for someone, then back them. And like, if you happen to be that little bit more experienced, then give that little bit of advice, or say you'll proofread something for someone, or offer them whatever you can. And I think that's really, really important as well, particularly in Ireland, where everything is so small and everything knows.
It's a very small pond for the media industry. And
but even like say for example, like lads like lads like Graham and Nathan or Peter Collins and even Tara Marie for the hybrids last year, like they're young, brilliant, like incredible at what they do, but still so willing to offer that back to people as well. Like
we found that with our, like, you know, we've been very fortunate that we've got to interview some of the biggest names in you know, Irish society, and every one of them, like we honestly couldn't say a bad word about any of them. Everyone went out of their way to help us. Like even we had our first trip to Marconi House a couple of weeks ago. We got to interview Fergal Darcy. We got to record it in the studio. That actually prompted us to buy our Zoom because we were listening to our older episodes and we were like,
the sound
audio
quality is
is
just something different.
So and like Ferg was brilliant. He said, anyway, I can help you going forward. I'd love to, you know. So yeah, it seems to be a recurring theme. Everyone wants to give back a little bit. And as Ian Dempsey said, was Ian Dempsey?
Ian Dempsey said, you never know who's going to be your boss one day, so be nice to everyone you come across in the industry. He said that even him now, who's probably the most established name in radio, arguably, and even he says that I like one of these days you could be running Today FM and I could be answerable to you. So just keep people on side and don't piss off anybody.
I'm not doing a good job of that right now.
Yeah, the media world it's small.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, Ireland is small, but that pool is incredible.
It's very, very,
Anyway, Rob, thanks very much.
No, lads, thanks a million for having me.
We've definitely ran over. I think it's probably our longest one today.
It could be.
We have to do a bit of editing.
That's a good thing, Rob.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Thanks.
You cut it down in probably about 22 minutes.
Thanks a million for coming, Rob. This has been In Conversation with Rob O'Hanlon. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.